What if you were landing all your shots? Would you need all that damage you loaded on your build? Would you even need as much armor? I put together an assault rifle build with 186% weapon accuracy. The idea behind this is to see if we can improve our DPS by landing more shots on target in the shortest amount of time possible. If you're landing twice the amount of shots, then maybe you only need to spec in half the amount of damage you have now. This opens up a lot of space on your build to develop hybrid builds that are better situated for all types of combat scenarios. There's basically no limits to what you could do. I'll be introducing a few extreme builds along the way so you can see how their performance compares. Hit the like right now and comment Tux Talks down below, and stick around to the end because I'll be giving you what might be the all new meta build setup. Let's go. The first extreme build is all about weapon accuracy. The stats show I only have 131% accuracy, but 45% more is coming from my chest talent, and another 10% is coming from the specialization, and that's how I get to 186% accuracy. This build starts with the rail splitter named CTAR with perfectly accurate that gives you 50% more accuracy. This is my longest standing favorite weapon in the game. It's a DZ exclusive named item, and if that just made you cringe, no, you can farm it without ever going into the DZ. Watch this video to learn more. I have damage to targets out of cover and 20% more accuracy from the mods, plus crit chance and a larger mag. So 70% accuracy is coming from the gun alone. Notice the build brings the RPMs to 1035 with a 1.2 reload time and topped out accuracy and stability. The chest talent will improve that even further. I am running 3 pieces of Striker for 15% more handling and additional RPMs. The mask has crit damage and crit chance. The gloves have 8% more handling, and so does the holster. The knee pads are the Fox's prayers for more damage to targets out of cover and crit damage. My chest is my second piece of Overlord for another 20% accuracy. Notice the stats are not maxed out. I have braced for the talent that gives me 45% more handling when in cover. So the chest is giving us 65% total accuracy in addition to whatever the weapon is giving us. The backpack is Cheska and I maxed out the crits on it. I'm running Vigilance for that burst of 25% more weapon damage. We have 53% crit chance and 91% crit damage and 75% headshot damage. With that level of accuracy and RPMs, we should be happy with our base weapon damage for time to kill. I am running Gunner for 10% armor on kill, ammo regeneration, and the 10% more weapon handling while not moving. This goes well with braced. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the range. Really steady, but the range is not very reliable for telling a true DPS story. Since this is about landing more shots, a target standing still doesn't say much, but let's make note of that DPS and 450,000 crit anyways. Here I am at a heroic control point. We want to pay attention to the time to kill. The build feels like a laser, there's no doubt. It basically has minimal crit damage, but still cuts off heads and shreds through weak points as if it had way more. The point behind landing all your shots with better accuracy and RPMs is to improve your DPS. The better your time to kill, and the better your time to kill, the better your survivability. I've learned that there are many different combinations and levels to creating a build with great survivability. The strongest, in my opinion, is time to kill. The obvious reason is because the faster you kill the enemy, they're no longer a threat. And the not so obvious reason is that armor on kill is the strongest heals in the game. It's instant heals and comes in larger chunks than all other types of heals. If you have a fast time to kill, you can take advantage of armor on kill more often. This allows you to be out of cover more, which allows you to push faster, get the jump on enemies, and even spawn trap them. More importantly, fast kills and fast heals together gives player confidence. With this setup, players are willing to accept more incoming damage because they know that next kill will pay them back. It's harder for this type of player to get flanked or cornered because they will just chew through the enemy who tries. If you didn't know, classified builds are secret builds made just for Texas Players Club true and hardcore Bandido member levels. These are extra builds I make as a thank you for supporting me, the channel, and therefore the entire community, because that's what I do. I build and support the community. If you want to tap into these secret builds, you can get access today by making sure you're at least a true Bandido member level. Click the join button below. But listen up, here's the important part of the discussion. The time to kill on this is so fast, I think that if you didn't know what I have equipped, I could probably tell you I'm wearing glass cannon and you would probably believe me. The discovery I am sharing with you today is that with a certain elevated amount of accuracy and RPMs, the build's perceived time to kill closes in on that of the strongest DPS build in the game, not counting one-shot snipers. And that leads me to the biggest question we are addressing in this video. At what point do you reach diminishing returns on a DPS build? And is it possible to have diminishing returns on a max damage all red crit build in the first place? Diminishing returns means you are getting proportionally smaller benefits out of the attributes you are investing into your build. For many, the argument for diminishing returns on weapon handling is really easy to accept, but most in this game don't realize that high damage builds are also capable of having diminishing returns. There are many people that just can't mentally accept that. For example, if this high handling low crit build has a perceived time to kill close to that of the strongest DPS build in the game, is it possible the strongest DPS build has diminishing returns? Let me ask the question this way. Can you tell the difference between a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second faster time to kill? Whether you can or can't isn't really the point. The point is whether that fraction of a second really even matters. Is it the difference between life and death on your build, or would you rather trade it for 20% armor on kill and double up on your survivability by stacking amazing time to kill with amazing time to heal? Keep that question in mind. Here's my take on the best DPS build in the game. For consistency, I am sticking to the assault rifle class. But now I have crits for mods and killer as a talent, which gives me 40% more crit damage when I kill with a crit. The coyote mask gives us more crit chance and crit damage depending on range. I have the same Cheska backpack as build 1 with max crits and vigilance. The chest is now the sacrifice. It has 15% more headshot damage and max crits. The talent is perfect glass cannon, which is big. It has 30% more amplified damage. That's a lot. These are the contractor's gloves with 8% damage to armor and crit damage. Weapon damage isn't topped, but this won't matter. I have the same Fox's Prayer knee pads on for damage to targets out of cover and crit damage. And finally, the holster is Grupo for more crits and headshot damage. So the stats are going to tower over the last build on paper. We have 48% crits on paper, but Coyote's mask is going to buff that to 58%. It says 173% crit damage, but the mask and killer are going to pump that up to 65% more crit damage on this build for 238% total crit damage. We also have 100% headshot damage now, which is more than the last build. Remember, we have 25% weapon damage from vigilance, 8% damage to armor, 21% health damage, and 18% damage to targets out of cover on top of all of that. And then the 30% amplified damage from glass cannon to boost it all in the end. Even though I'm not running an LMG or a rifle, all that multiplicative damage on this build from the knee pads and gloves adds more to the DPS than if I otherwise rolled just more crit damage. In the range, we're headshot critting around 930,000. The gun itself actually has a nice base of handling on it, but it is noticeably different than the last build. So here I am at a heroic checkpoint taking on the same True Sons faction. Let's check out the real time to kill and see if we can tell from gameplay footage how much faster or slower it is than the first build. Again, on paper, the stats are towering compared to build 1 when it comes to damage potential, but the amount of shots landed on a moving target combined with the amount of critical hits on the head and weak points at variable ranges will tell a different story. It's important I tell you that I'm not calling this a bad build. It's a great one, and I'm having fun using it as a matter of fact. What I'm asking by running this build as a comparison is whether some of the damage I've laced into the build is going to waste. For example, can I really tell the difference between having killer active and not having killer active on this build? Furthermore, can I really tell the difference in time to kill from this build and build 1? Lastly, would I benefit more by replacing that fraction of a second time to kill for better handling or more defense? How about both? I say yes, and that's what I'm about to show you. If you're looking for a new and more exciting experience in the Division 2, you found the right channel, and Tux's Discord is the place to be. We talk builds, group up, organize raids, and make solid friends. This is a free resource you should be taking advantage of. You're invited. Build 3 is a blend of build 1 and 2 with a cherry on top. This build brings everything in balance. This is a template for you to adjust as you like, but I wanted to keep the changes simple and straightforward for demonstration purposes. I am running the same CTAR from build 2 with Killer for the added 40% crit damage. The backpack is the same Cheska with the same mods and vigilance talent. We are playing between 0 and 25 meters, so the Coyote's mask will give us up to 25% more crit damage. I have the 3 pieces of Striker from build 1 and they all look the same with weapon damage and crit damage. But my chest piece is now a 4th piece of Striker, which I say is best in slot for Striker builds. This brings me 50% amplified damage with no downside. Perfect Glass Cannon, like on build 2, gives you only 30% amplified damage and also brings 60% amplified incoming damage with it. Striker amp damage requires stacks, but with 1035 RPMs and improved accuracy, getting those stacks happens really fast, and maintaining them is even easier than Obliterate. With the gunner specialization, I have 10% armor on kill, ammo generation, and 10% more handling when we stand still for 1 second. In most cases, 10% armor on kill isn't that helpful, but since the time to kill on this setup is so fast, it's suitable for the pace we're running. We have 53 to 60% crit chance with the Coyote's mask talent. Killer is giving us 40% more crit damage and another 25% from Coyote for 226% total crit damage. We have 35% accuracy with the help of Gunner when we are still for 1 second. And the cherry on top is the 50% amplified damage on top of the 226% pounding enemies at 1035 rounds per minute. In the range, this is a laser beam critting at 993,000. The meta I showed you earlier with the CTAR and Perfect Glass Cannon was critting at 930,000. Remember, that came with 60% amplified incoming damage and a lot more recoil. But here's why you should really be impressed. The traditional meta with the Baker's Dozen can hit up to 3.8 million, but at only 180 RPMs. And the reload on that thing is horrendous, as well as the accuracy is not impressive whatsoever. This 993,000 at 1035 RPMs while landing more shots means a lot more. Plus, we don't have the glass from Glass Cannon. There are many things about build 1 that make it special that are difficult to measure against build 2 and 3 during gameplay. One of those is the reload speed. The weapon handling was so high on build 1, the reload on the AR is about as fast as it can possibly get. But for the sake of it, let's see if we can get a side-by-side comparison of time to kill on all 3 builds so you can see where we started and ended. What is interesting to think about is that each build brings its own set of benefits to the table, right? But follow my thought process here. Build 2 with Foxes, Contractors, and the Sacrifice brings arguably the highest damage and best time to kill to be labeled the best DPS build in the game. But build 3 has higher max damage, better handling to land more shots, and even better time to kill than build 2. Maybe this should be called the best DPS build in the game. Here's the point I'm making. The difference in time to kill between all 3 builds is small. So small, it's arguably negligible or unimportant as to be not worth considering. It's insignificant to survivability. With all the sacrifices to additional survivability that build 2 makes, could one say that the only thing build 2 brings is diminishing returns and 60% amplified incoming damage from Perfect Glass Cannon? Likely. All 3 builds brings diminishing returns at some level. Build 1 has too much handling, build 2 too much damage, which in other words is inefficient use of attribute slots. And although build 3 is a blend of build 1 and 2, it has a time to kill so fast that it can afford a nudge more to survivability to make it even more over the top. If we accomplish that, I would actually call this the real meta. Would you agree? Or would you still argue it's the Baker Dozen Glass Cannon setup? Comment below. Bandidos, this hybrid skill build has 360% crit damage on 6 skill tiers, making it the highest crit damage build in its class. And I made it just for you. Try it next. Tuxedo out.